Welcome to the second video of the Mad Max Mega Review. Here we will cover the Road Warrior, the one that everybody remembers as the best. And there is a quantum leap between the original movie and this one. And it's a really good example to other franchises as to how you separate the wheat from the chaff, you chuck out the stuff that doesn't work, and you take the things that do work and you refine it to make something really awesome. You don't just keep repeating what doesn't work, hoping for a different result. In this movie, they got rid of the whole undefined world, is it post-apocalyptic or isn't it kind of thing from the last movie, and they've just gone full post-apocalyptic. However, what caused the fall of civilization does seem to change with every Mad Max movie. In this one, the prologue at the beginning makes a brief mention of Cold War tensions between the USA and the Soviet Union, but mostly it seems that we just ran out of fuel, so everyone just went crazy and turned on each other. And that's why everyone in the movie wants fuel. Another big improvement over the first movie is the villains. As opposed to good old Toe Cutter in the last movie, now we have the Humongous, and the Lord Humongous rules the wasteland. And I gotta tell you, this guy is more Bane than Bane. In fact, since this movie came out 9 years before Bane was ever introduced in the comics, I wouldn't mind betting that Bane was at least partially inspired by the Humongous. I mean, come on, he's got the physique, he's got the mask, he even has the pulsing veins in his head, kind of reminiscent of the Venom tubes. And tell me that this isn't a better Bane voice than what Tom Hardy did.
But we do it my way. Wait. We do it my way. Fear is our ally. The gasoline will be ours. Then you shall have your revenge. Take him away.
If you want to see something really cool, I'll put a link in the description to a YouTube video where someone has edited the Humongous voice into the Bane speech in Dark Knight Rises. So you've got Tom Hardy, the new Mad Max, speaking with the voice of the Humongous. It's pretty awesome. But even if the Humongous didn't inspire Bane, he at the very least inspired a pro wrestler of the same name, so I guess there's that. Now, in a very early version of the script, the Humongous was actually going to be revealed as Goose. Because you remember that he got seriously burned in the first movie, and the last that we saw of him, he was in a hospital bed being kept alive by all the machines. We don't know what happened to him. Did he survive? Did he die? So the idea of him returning as this scarred monster and a villain that Mad Max would have to put down is an interesting thought, and would have been a really good metaphor of what Max could become if he gave in to the madness of this world. But they very wisely changed it, because while the original Mad Max over time became a cult classic in many places around the world, still a lot of people had not heard of Mad Max, so while people like me would have been like, oh my god, it's Goose! He's back! Goose is back! Everybody else in the world would be like, who's Goose? And that's a really stupid name for a villain too. No villain should ever be called Goose. So they scrapped it and they just made the Humongous a new character. But there are still little remnants of this idea in the movie. The burnt edges around Humongous's face, his gun being the same as what Goose had in the first movie, plus a lot of his gang does have old police cars and he's wearing the same uniform as the cops in the first movie. Because his gang was supposed to be kind of pieced together out of the scraps of what was left of the police force back then. So the Humongous isn't Goose anymore, he's a new character, and not that much is known about his backstory. However, when he does open his gun case, we do see like an old black and white picture of a man and a woman, probably either his parents or his grandparents, and based off the clothes that they're wearing, as well as the medals that are on display in that case, Humongous is from a military family, which no doubt is why he's more disciplined and focused than the rest of the crazies in his gang. But Humongous is a great villain, and even the sub-villain is good. Wes, the giant mohawk dude in his backless leather pants with his boyfriend in bondage gear? Yeah. There definitely is a homoerotic subtext to all of these movies, come to think of it.
Okay.
And it always seems to be the bad guys. It's kind of surprising that no one has ever really accused these movies of vilifying the LGBT community, but I guess any group of bad guys that look like they put their outfits together after raiding a sporting goods store are not to be taken too seriously. You know, there's a lot of hockey masks, shoulder pads, shin guards, and I guess after they raided the sports store, they then raided a sex shop to get all the leather bondage gear, because yeah, that's exactly what you would wear if you're in the desert.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Personally though, I don't think George Miller or anyone else was trying to make any kind of statement about sexuality with this. I think they were just having fun throwing in as much weird stuff as they possibly could, and they just thought it was funny. And it is. It adds a lot of flair to the movie that wouldn't be there otherwise. I mean, just take a look at this pink dude. He's driving a customized pink muscle car, and he's even dyed his beard pink to match the car. What? It's just a bit of fun, you know, it probably shouldn't be taken too seriously.
Now let's put all the rumors to rest. Is Bennett and Wes gay?
No. It all started because there's a scene missing from Road Warrior in which the kid on the back of the motorbike is actually a kid that I saved from my marauders when he's about 4 years old, and he basically becomes my surrogate son. That's why I'm so upset. But because it played better the way it was, they left it, and people just decided that I had to be gay because I was so upset about him getting killed.
By the way, if the over-the-top acting of this character seems strangely familiar to you, it's probably because this actor also played Bennett in Commando. Yeah, that's him.
John, I feel good. Just like old times. What's it feel like to be a dying man? You're a dead man, John. Bullshit.
And didn't he also wear leather pants in that movie too? But at least they weren't backless that time.
John, I'm not gonna shoot you between the eyes. I'm gonna shoot you between the balls.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
So the story for this movie revolves around a group of settlers that run one of the last oil stations and the Humongous gang who wants to take it over, with Mad Max being in the middle. On a character level, those two different groups represent the two directions that Max could go, either become an animal or become a human being. There's even a bit of a hinting that there's some kind of religious basis for this group of settlers.
We fight for a belief. I stay.
But, you know, it's never brought up or mentioned again, but it just kind of helps to contrast like the lunatics outside with the clean-cut, more sort of civilized people inside, and how Max has a little bit of both inside him. And if that wasn't an obvious enough distinction, the gang wears all black, the settlers wear all white. Pretty simple. This visual distinction is probably because George Miller wanted this to be a story that could be understood even if there was no dialogue at all in the movie. Maybe that's to help with like the international audiences that have to deal with like subtitles or bad dubbing, because Mad Max had developed quite a bit of a following in Europe, so no doubt it was to help with all that. But it is true that you could watch this whole movie on mute and you would still understand what's happening. In fact, Mel Gibson famously has only 16 lines in the whole movie, and the only time his face displays any emotion is at the very end of the movie when he smiles briefly. It just goes to show a good actor can make even a stoic character seem charismatic. Even a character who is defined by not showing any emotions can still be brought to life by a good actor. So the story, like I said, is very simple, perhaps maybe even a little bit too simple. I mean, if you really start to think about it, there's a whole ton of stuff that don't really add up, like how did these settlers end up here in the first place? And it only takes one oil tanker to haul all of the oil from this refinery. Plus there's a bit of a twist at the end that makes even less sense. And they're skilled enough to know how to run this oil refinery and even how to make very specific types of fuel like high-octane gasoline.
Now to do the job I need 5 gallons of diesel and some high-octane gasoline.
but they can't handle a gang of crazies outside that only has one gun amongst all of them. I mean, they've already designed flamethrowers for themselves. I mean, if they can do that and run an oil refinery, why can't they build, like, a tank or something to defend them? But you know what? It doesn't matter. Mad Max is not the type of movie that should have a super complicated story. It's definitely a situation where you want to stick to the keep it simple rule. The last thing anyone wants when they go into Mad Max is a Christopher Nolan style of super complicated plot. No, just keep it simple. But even though the story is simple, there are quite a few little details that carry over from the first movie, like Max's weapon of choice being the sawn-off shotgun, the fact that he injures his leg at the end of the first movie, so now he has this metal leg brace to help him walk. You know, cool little things like that. And you know what else is good about the character of Max? Is he's not like an invincible action hero. He's tough. He's certainly tough, there's no doubt about that, but he's not like a Batman-style hero that can do anything. When he crashes his car, he is messed up bad, as you would be crashing your car. Yeah, he's not the kind of character that wins every fight that he's in, and in fact, I don't think he even throws a single punch in any of the movies. He always just uses weapons, which I guess makes sense. I mean, why would you want a fist fight with a guy if you can just smash him over the head with a pair of bolt cutters? Yeah, he's not a Jason Bourne style ninja, he's just a regular dude who gets through because of his toughness and his tenacity. Kind of like John McClane in the first Die Hard movie. The only special skill that they sort of give him is that he has really quick reflexes, which makes sense if he's a really good driver.
You're quick! Very quick. Never seen a man beat the snipe before.
Although, in the next movie, Beyond Thunderdome, they take that one skill and they exaggerate it out to turn him into generic action man. But we'll cover that in the next video. The supporting characters for the movie are solid all around, most notably the helicopter pilot, played by Bruce Spence. He's gone on to have a very successful career as a character actor. You know, he was the train man in the third Matrix movie, he was this dude from Revenge of the Sith, and he was the mouth of Sauron. That was until his scene got cut from the final version. So if you haven't seen any of the Mad Max movies, this is the one you want to start with. It's been satirized in everything from The Simpsons to South Park, and it's influenced many other films, from Escape to New York to even Waterworld. Although I kind of did enjoy Waterworld, just don't tell anyone. So you can click on any of these to check out my reviews for the other Mad Max movies. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated, and until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.